been a long time since 2012. Half of time it has been since 2012, because now we are 2 times 12. 24, 2024. Today we'll be talking about one of the greatest viral marketing campaigns of all time.
Kony 2012 is the story of a man, Jason Russell, and his relentless quest to stop Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony.
There's product sales campaigns now, you got Feastables.
This is my old Feastables chocolate bar, and as you know, it tastes better than a Hershey's bar.
And Sour Boys, go to sour.gg, or the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Remember that shit? That was like right after 2012. The reason I keep saying 2012 is because of Kony. Do you remember Kony? What the was up with that?
He really is one of the most evil people living today. Imagine the worst crime you can think of committing, and he'll have done it thousands of times over.
12 years ago, me and you, literally me and you, were making eye contact right now. We saw one of the most profound uses of social media as a platform for change that created the most epic grassroots campaign that aimed to change the world 12 years ago, 2012 Heimers. Where did this awesome campaign start? Well, it started with a little video called Kony 2012. It was uploaded March 5th, 2012, a little over 12 years ago. It seemingly became an overnight sensation. And by seemingly, I mean it was an overnight sensation. It amassed 100 million views in 6 days. What exactly was this Kony video about?
Humanity's greatest desire is to belong and connect. And now we see each other. We hear each other.
Grandpa, I love you. I love you.
I want to take a picture.
We share what we love, and it reminds us what we all have in common.
Dug out alive and well after 7.5 days.
If you believe in yourself, you will know how to ride a bike. Rock and roll!
So now technically your device is on. Can you tell?
Well, the goal of the video was to put an end to the suffering of the children of Central Africa at the hands of a guy named Joseph Kony. This guy right here. Real piece of shit. The video was posted by a channel called Invisible Children. It's like a non-profit charity. And this whole thing started a movement. There wasn't without dramas, all right? You can't get 100 million views in 6 days and not lose your mind, can you? Before we get onto that, though, we'll do a little bit of background on Kony, because Kony is relevant once again in 2024, and this shit blew my mind. I thought he was dead or something. I really don't know. But this man is truly evil incarnate. Joseph Kony is the leader of a shitty little group called the LRA, the Lord's Resistance Army. And what they do best is just terrorize communities in Central Africa, Uganda, the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Sudan. They've abducted children, turned them into child soldiers, and murdered a lot of people. Bro is quite literally the devil. Joseph Kony faces the following charges. I mean, this guy's an asshole. What the f? This is terrible. The Kony 2012 video was created to raise awareness of this guy, as well as money, to put a stop to these crimes against humanity. Completely justifiable cause.
For 26 years, Kony has been kidnapping children into his rebel group, the LRA. Turning the girls into slaves. And the boys into child soldiers.
And I mentioned, by the way, a few minutes ago, Kony's still around. And this was 12 years ago. So the Kony 2012 video that was created to raise awareness for this fucking massive problem, as well as money, it was created to raise money there, to put a stop to these crimes and all this shit, didn't exactly pan out the way that the writer, director, and star of the original video, Jason Russell, intended. It didn't go as intended. This is him, though. Look at him. He seems like a nice guy. He kind of reminds me of Owen Wilson's brother, the guy from Idiocracy. It's important to understand just how viral this video went. Like I said, 100 million views in 6 days. That's pretty huge, especially in 2012. That was a long fucking time ago. That was pre sort of real legit internet culture that we have now. The movie or video, probably more of a movie, Kony 2012, was incredibly captivating and compelling to watch. It hooked you. There was powerful music, all these crazy different little story points. It gave you someone to root for, someone to connect with. You're rooting for the main guy, Jason, and the invisible children, and you connect with this character that is introduced, Jacob, character I use very loosely.
And who's this right here?
Jacob.
Who's Jacob?
Jacob is our friend in Africa.
It's been almost 10 years since Jacob and I became friends.
It's okay, they're nice. They're different than sharks.
But when my friends and I first met him in Uganda, in Central Africa, it was in very different circumstances.
Jacob is a friend of Jason's who he met 10 years before as a boy, and Jacob's brother was killed by Joseph Kony in the LRA.
The rebel, when they raise us again, then they will kill us. My brother tried to escape. Then they killed using panga. They cut his neck.
Did you see it?
I saw.
It is a video that is incredibly difficult to just watch and just not give a shit about. And a lot of people change their profile pictures overnight, I'm sure, as they often do, but I'm telling you, Kony 2012 was different though. It was fucking different. And the purpose of the Kony video was to raise awareness of all sorts, and most importantly, to make Joseph Kony famous. They said in the video that the reason he hasn't been stopped yet and he's allowed to kind of do his own evil thing out in Central Africa is because 99% of the world's population doesn't have any idea who he is, because he is an African warlord. He's not a politician in New Jersey or something, so people in America don't give a shit.
It's obvious that Kony should be stopped. The problem is 99% of the planet doesn't know who he is. If they knew, Kony would have been stopped long ago.
Jason Russell and the Invisible Children, in making the Kony 2012 video, did an excellent job mobilizing viewers and kind of creating that call to action to make this dude famous. They called out celebrities. They called them culture makers.
2012. We are targeting 20 culture makers and 12 policymakers to use their power for good. Let's start with the 20 culture makers. Celebrities, athletes, and billionaires have a loud voice, and what they talk about spreads instantly.
And mobilize people to get their attention to create this gigantic mega platform that has never existed. It is pretty much what Mama Max did with Camden Gerard Davis, that whole fucking thing that happened a couple months ago. This is crazy. This is Mama Max pulled out the Kony 2012 playbook. This is ridiculous. They picked celebrities to call out, politicians, anyone who could make the change that the Invisible Children wanted to see, and Jason Russell specifically.
Then we're going after policymakers, the ones that have the authority to see Kony captured. They decide if the advisors stay or leave. So we need to remind them that in this election year of fighting and name-calling, no matter what side you're on, this is something we can all agree on.
They also make it clear that they talk to people in Washington to no success. I'm sure that happens a lot. I'm sure people in Washington don't give a shit about this kind of stuff. I mean, that makes sense.
When my friends and I came home from Uganda, we thought that if the government knew, they would do something to stop him. But everyone in Washington we talked to said there is no way the United States will ever get involved in a conflict where our national security or financial interests aren't at stake.
So anyways, incredibly effective. The message was heard by a lot of people, and the call to action, insane. The viewer came in, the importance of the power of the viewer, the influence of the social media user came in towards the end. You could buy a Kony 2012 action kit, which had posters, stickers, bracelets, and shit that you could take to the streets to plaster the face of Joseph Kony everywhere.
Lift the lid, and this is the first thing that you see. Fold the cardboard out of the way, and you can see a t-shirt, a badge, a sticker, and a couple of posters. Here's a closer look at the stickers, badge, and bracelets.
And through buying this, you would donate money to the Invisible Children so they could take down Joseph Kony. I think it's funny about the whole Washington thing and how they said that the American government doesn't involve themselves in conflicts that don't involve American interests. Such a America thing. I love that, dude. I love that, bro. I love that. I don't actually love that. I'm saying I love that, and I don't mean it. So on top of all these calls to action and the mobilization of the masses, there was one night in particular that Jason and the Invisible Children wanted people to be ready to mobilize. That was April 20th, 2012, a month and a half after the original video went live.
All of these efforts will culminate on one day, April 20th, when we cover the night. This is the day when we will meet at sundown and blanket every street in every city till the sun comes up. We will be smart and we will be thorough. The rest of the world will go to bed Friday night and wake up to hundreds of thousands of posters demanding justice on every corner.
The night would be an event called Cover the Night, where we, the viewer, would do all of the legwork with all the action kits purchased from the website, and we would revolt for a fucking revolution. But the genius of marketing was very clear in this video. It paid off spectacularly. It fucking blew up, man, and it made people in the West feel like they were really contributing something bigger than themselves. One of the guys on our team, Satchel, he was very emotionally complex at the time, and he purchased an action kit with his allowance. He obviously didn't go out and participate in the Cover the Night because he was like a 14-year-old, 15-year-old boy, and he wanted to stay home and game. But he also said that he had friends that did go out, and they stayed out until 3:30 a.m. on Facebook. Oh my God. I was a 15-year-old idiot in 2012 and probably didn't give a shit. I was probably playing The Hunter Call of the Wild, or whatever the game that came before that. The Hunter, I don't know. The one in the Crysis, the Crytek engine. That's what I was probably doing. We know that the movement was very effective. We know that the video went uber viral. We know they sold a lot of action kits, but was it actually effective and actually affecting things? They definitely raised a shit ton of money. The tax filings for the nonprofit of the Invisible Children from July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2012 are available publicly. And in that time, they raised $26.5 million and claimed 16 million of that as expenses, leaving them with $10 million of revenue, 17 million bucks at the end of the day. That is ridiculous. I like looking and seeing where nonprofits spend their money, and this one, $450,000 went to compensation of directors, which is pretty damn good. 2 million went to other compensations, don't know what that means. 700,000 went to other, don't know what that means either. 600K went to advertising and promotion, and 1.2 million went to travel costs. So $600,000 plus the 450K for the directors to make $26.5 million. Wow. The main guy, though, Jason Russell, paid himself $113,000. Feel like that's really not that much for the amount of work required probably to make that shit and manage all this stuff. It's got to be very overwhelming. They would try to be as transparent as possible at the time to show people where the money was going, and that was cool. You know, I like that. I love seeing that. Central African programs, Legacy Scholarship Fund, I mean, they spent a lot of money, dude. They spent a lot of money went around, and I would like to believe that it was used effectively. In spite of all that, obviously wouldn't be making this video if it was just a purely wholesome thing that had a lot of change. And like I said, Joseph Kony is still a fucking round in 2024, so it seemed things were pretty honest financially, but they might not have been as sincere as how that it was covered in the Joseph Kony films. This burgeoning response narrative to the Kony 2012 viral success sort of said that the things in the video were over sensationalized by Jason Russell and the Invisible Children, and that they dumbed down an incredibly complicated situation. It's almost like that's what goes viral. There was some fucked up shit said, though, written in the news. For example, this excerpt: the campaign reflects neither the realities of northern Uganda nor the attitudes of its people. Wow, that's not good. That's not good. Are you telling me that this was a lie? Are you telling me that this was a fucking lie? Oh, God. We do have actual examples of the seemingly accurate criticism of the Kony 2012 film. For example, it was screened in Uganda, and the people who watched it were so outraged by the film that they threw rocks at the screen.
There are some kind of people, there are some kind of NGO who are trying to mobilize funds using the atrocities committed in northern Uganda.
We wanted to see how our local people were killed.
Correct.
So these are all white men. These are feelings different from northern Uganda.
That is why sometimes
rocks are thrown, the screening comes to a halt, and the crowd scatters into the night.
This shit got so bad that the Invisible Children created a page on their website that was dedicated to addressing criticisms and concerns. It's now deleted, obviously, but it's archived on the way back. They responded to quite a few of the criticisms that were being thrown at them, such as the lobbying the government government claims, the oversimplifying and complex issue claims, the exaggerating the impact of the LRA and their presence in Uganda despite the LRA leaving in 2006 claims, the white man's burden and savior complex claim, and the photos that were taken of the founders with guns and an LRA camp. These are some of the biggest amongst many. While all this was going on online, they were getting panned and drugged. Jason Russell was being confronted and dragged to the point which he would fucking snap. He was getting harassed day and night. He even went on a vacation to try and escape everything, and he was still recognized and harassed. I mean, he made himself so famous that the pressure boiled up in his brain very badly, I guess, and he blew up, he exploded, and there is a video on TMZ titled "The New Jason Russell Video, The Up Close Naked Meltdown." That's right, there was an up close naked meltdown apparently because of all this criticism and harassment.
Yeah.
He got 5150 as a result of this because he seemed like he was in danger to himself. At the hospital, he continued on his downward spiral, losing his mind. He was convinced the staff were trying to kill him. I mean, it was a true, proper psychotic breakdown as a result of just the whole world seemingly turning against you in just a minute. And he believed that he was doing the right thing. And then he took his clothes off and ran out into the street. He can only remember slivers of what happened next. The horror on his mother's face when he was handcuffed and led away. Danica had rushed out to the house with the children and called his parents. He was taken to hospital. But I thought the staff wanted to kill me, I was convinced. They kept trying to give me drugs and I refused to take them. It got to the point where I was running around in my underwear, kicking in doors. I had 8 peoples holding me down. They eventually tied my arms and legs down to this bed and injected me. It was incredibly traumatizing. I was convinced I was going to die. There was also claims, and I'm pretty sure I sort of spread these claims. I heard this and I thought this was really funny. Unfortunately, kind of the guy I am there. There was claims he was jacking it in the street. I'm gonna be honest. People said he was jacking it in the street, and Oprah asked him if he was jacking it. That's pretty hilarious. Check out Oprah.
Were you also masturbating? Did I hear that too?
There were rumors of masturbation, but no one who was there ever said that was happening. Yeah, masturbation was one of the, I mean, I'm naked, so it's not a far extension of, imagination that would be happening. But no, I don't remember any of that, and no one we knew there said. This
guy is charismatic, and he's cool. He's very California, very Hollywood. I like him. Seems like a nice guy, even in spite of him potentially, allegedly jerking it in the street. Anyways, all this shit was happening, and it still wasn't April 20th, the cover the night, but the day arrived for that, and it did not go as planned. I'm gonna be honest with you, fellas. It did not go as planned. By the way, I acknowledge there is a single female in the audience, and that's embarrassing. The cover the night thing didn't go very well because people were questioning how the movement was kind of turning around and seeing all this shit, seeing if it was worth it, and seeing him freak out, and a lot of people just didn't show up. And it seems like the people who did go out just vandalized shit, destroyed property, which is awesome. Very, very, very cool, right? And then Jason Russell became even more famous for allegedly jerking off in the street. Certainly everybody remembers it, and if you ask anyone my age who Joseph Kony is, they're gonna know. They're gonna be like, oh, the Kony 2012 guy? Yeah. Wasn't that the guy who jerked off on the street or whatever? Everyone still remembers the name Kony for sure. I mean, that's absolutely, but the Kony 2012 shit didn't solve anything. He didn't die. He's still being hunted by a hero in the shadows. And I use the word hero very subjectively, very, very lightly. I'm talking like it's an ironic usage of the word hero. This hero is lurking in the shadows. He may or may not be dead. He's a man of many faces, many disguises, many costumes. His name is Prigozhin. Oh my God, big boss. He died though. He died. He got blown up by Vladimir Putin. He got exploded because he marched on Moscow to prove a point. He died. But I'm not going to get too much into Russian geopolitics, but the Wagner Group and Prigozhin, maybe not. I think he's actually dead. They are after Kony. That's the newest news, is that Kony is being hunted by the Wagner Group. You may have heard of Yevgeny Prigozhin or the Wagner Group. They were created. It's a pro-Russian paramilitary group. It's like a bunch of fucking mercenaries, essentially, and they go do Russian stuff. They help in Ukraine against the Ukrainians. They helped in Syria against this, whichever regime was not the Russian propped up one. They also do some stuff in Africa. And I believe at one point, We had a little bit of an open conflict with them during all the Syrian stuff, and we annihilated them a little bit. I think there's some story there, but I forget exactly what happened. It's interesting though, because it's an area of gray. It isn't Russia in the Middle East, in Africa, in doing this kind of stuff. It's not them directly, but it's Yevgeny Prigozhin. He's like he's a guy. He's dead now, I think. Is he big boss? I think he is. Look at this. They were both attacked by their own country, both shot down in the air, both operated in Africa. They were both idolized by their armies, and they're probably both alive in secret hospitals in Cyprus. I'm Cypriot. I have Cypriot genes and bloodlines, so me and, you know, maybe I'm big boss. I do believe Prigozhin is dead, though. Like I mentioned earlier, he marched his troops into fucking Rostov Oblast, a federal district, and then Putin denounced him as treason, denounced Wagner's actions as treason, and then now he's dead. He said that we are not traitor but patriot.
A lot of people have sacrificed their lives for Russia, and those that are trying to sow rebellion and create chaos will fail ultimately.
But bro's legacy lives on. Unfinished business. Joseph Kony, Kony 2012. Check this out. The Rolling Stone wrote an article talking about the Vagner Group hunting Joseph Kony, and they couldn't catch him in Africa. Post embarrassing Kony 2012 failure, American groups, government, military, I'm not exactly sure what, Delta Force, I fucking have no idea. Some American groups have been in Africa, and they've allegedly been within 72 hours of catching Mr. Kony, who I assume is moving like a Texas Ranger, cold camping. The Vagner Group is allegedly even closer. There are reasons to believe. They have these fucking telegrams that are wide open, and you can just kind of see stuff. They attacked a village in Yemen where he had allegedly been, and sources claim he was 10 miles away from the village in his own cold camp, like a Texas Ranger in the 1880s. One actual bright side to this, something we know got done, the Vagner Group allegedly freed 14 children who were enslaved by the LRA for 8 years, which is incredible. They posted this on their Telegram. I mean, that's wild. As the result of operation by FICA and the Russian instructor in the area of city of Samoyanda in the east of Central African Republic, 14 children who had been enslaved by terrorist group LRA for 8 years were freed. Children abducted in different parts of Central African Republic and DRC spent all these years as slaves in inhumane conditions on cannabis, corn, and cassava plantations. Camps in the LRA group, whose leadership is subject to international arrest warrants from the ICC, and which a special contingent of the U.S. Africa Command has been fighting for more than 10 years, were located very close to the recent expanded camp of the MINUSCA, peacekeeping force with a prominently Congolese contingent, from where coincidentally most of the released children. During the operation, 2 generals, a colonel, and 6 LRA militants were killed, and weapons and ammunition were captured. Russian specialists safely transported the children to Bangui. I don't fucking know what's going on here, but it seems like the Pentagon might be getting involved. The Wagner Group is getting involved. None of them can kill Joseph Kony. He's like a fucking ghost somehow. What the fuck? Are you telling me he's like Osama? Are you telling me this guy's like fucking Bin Laden out there?
We have caught and compromise to a permanent end Osama bin Laden.
At the end of the day, seems like we don't need a white guy dancing around making fucking propaganda to tell us to take action on shit and nonprofits and whatnot when it's a real actual situation like this. Seems like you need the military. You just need some kind of military unit. You need actual change, people who can actually do change. You need volunteers. You need people to quite literally take up arms and go find and kill this guy. The Vagner Group can't do it. We can't do it. American groups can't do it. What is going on? I don't how do we help? How do we help? There's probably not a way to help. And that is the end of the video.